Kings and Queens, your majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for returning. Trust you and yours are well and you're loving yourself and others like always. Many thanks to all of you for the support you give to the channel. Thank you so much to our channel members, to our anonymous supporters, to all of you my esteemed subscribers. You're loved, celebrated, and of course appreciated. So I stumbled upon something of interest. I know you're gonna love it. So I said, why not I bring it to my community here, so that you listen and then leave what you think at the section. I know this is a time where a lot of people would don't just use emotions. No emotions here. Let's talk about facts. Let's talk about truth here, and do not worry or care about whom this is coming from because some of you do not like what's his name, Dr. Omar, because of a lot of things. I can understand that things are happening, eh? A lot of things are happening. Like that music say crazy things are happening. Crazy things are happening. A lot of crazy things are happening and it's a world we're living in. We're free to believe whatever we want to believe. We're free to make decisions, whichever decisions we want to make. But sometimes we have to be careful because sometimes when an idea is propagated and is contrary to the original thing, there is a reason why the idea is propagated, and there are people who are behind the propagation of these ideas. And this is how histories are distorted and the truths are intertwined. And before you know, we've messed up a lot of things. So I know it's not today. I've been bringing up informations here gradually of how a lot of Americans, melanated Americans, who are not really natives per se, are denouncing their connection to Africa. Okay, everything about Africa they want to cut it off from themselves. They do not want to have, like I said, it might be an emotional one. It might be something, but you just have to listen with an open mind, Your Majesties. Let's just do this, okay? I think we should have passed that stage at this point where um we mess up things like this. And anyway, a lot of African Americans, so they don't even want that name African American anymore. So that's why I'm just a bit careful not to use it. A lot of melanated Americans who do not want to have anything to do with Africa, even though they have something to do, they outrightly cut off whatever it is they have with Africa. And sometimes there was a video clip I saw where a pastor was in the church and he was like that the enslaved Americans that were taken out of Africa are the chosen people of God, that God loved them so much and that they are in heaven right now, which is America, and Africans who are in Africa are in hell. So a lot of Black Americans buy this idea, melanated Americans buy this idea, and they do not want to have anything to do with Africa. In short, they are so ashamed to be seen as people who have a connection to Africa, because to be like people is going to laugh at them that they have a connection to those who are from the continent of Africa, the same continent that is feeding the world. Yeah, I can say that with my full chest because after the whole situation in the Sahel happened, escalated and everything, a lot of secrets came out, and it just shows that there's no way Europe and America can live without Africa, and it's for a fact. Because even France that was kicked out is also back through the window. And it's unfortunate that we have people who are sellout. I think that's a discussion for another day. I don't know if that video is up anyway, but so there are this school of thought flying out there that we are from America. We are not Africans. We don't have anything to do with Africa. We are not black. Black is a curse, so they don't know how to relate with black. They say they are native. They are Indians, and this is something that a lot of you have heard of before, but I'm revisiting it because it's resurfacing. And a lot of melanated Americans buy this idea. You love it because you don't want to have anything to do with Africa. You love it, you propagate it, you insult Africa, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I think I've talked so much, but let's listen to this.
We're not from Africa, we are native. is our land. We all know about the slave ships. We're not from Africa, we indigenous. I need you to listen, I need you to be getting this. We not black, we not black. Know your story, family history, that's stats. We not black, that's a curse. Let's put this curse to rest and be blessed, yes.
Native Americans have a large literature. They have libraries full of literature on their culture, spirituality, sociology, way of life. Native Americans left a record of their civilization. You can read and study Native American civilization. The American African, although it was illegal for us to learn, although it was illegal for us to learn how to read, we left a vast literature of our experience in America. You can read our own words from the 17th century. You can read our own words from the 18th century. You can read our own words from the 19th century. You can read our own words from the 20th century. We have a vast catalog of literature. So let me say this to the Pretendians. Y'all were here before we got here. Which I agree with. Which I agree with. Which I agree with. What I disagree with is when you say you didn't come from Africa. So please produce the literature of the Pretendian nation. Show me the authentic literature of the Pretendian people where they say they did not come from Africa. Can I please see that? Can I please see this large repository of Pretendian literature that says they claimed they didn't come from Africa? Ain't nobody show me that yet. I ain't seen a piece of literature from a Pretendian yet. Original manuscript from ancient America where black people claim they didn't come from Africa. Where is the Pretendian literature? Where is the Pretendian literature? Where is the Pretendian literature? Pretend Indian, Pretendian. Pretend Indian, Pretendian. Pretend Indian, Pretendian. Where is the literature, the ancient literature of the Pretendian people?
Your Majesties, Dr. Omar and repetition are like this. They are 5 and 6. He will repeat same words. And anyway, I don't blame him because he wants the words to sink into the head. That's on a lighter note. Ooh, we are at this again, and it's unfortunate that we had to do this because you see, there are things I don't want to say because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to make you feel like I am, you know, I don't know. I'm uneasy. If you want this, if you just look at me, I'm uneasy. I'm short of words. I don't know what to say. But there are histories, there are documents, there are literatures out there that proves that, like he said, there were melanated in America who existed before the ones that were brought on ship came. I've had this discussion right from the beginning of this channel. We've been talking and debating about this. There were melanated people who were already in America before the descendants of the enslaved came. I hope that phrase is correct. What I'm saying is that prior to slave trading and the moving of Africans from Africa, moving of melanated from the African continent into America, there were already melanated who were already in that land. It's something you can't dispute because there are documents that proves it. Now, there were some book we were deliberating upon here. What's the name of those book? I'm going to leave the name on the screen because it might have escaped my memory now. But when you okay, the man who stole Africa, Dictate Holland, there is some information in there as well that explains to us how melanated migrated from the continent of Africa towards America. And the continent of Africa was so close to America than the way it is now. Now, does it not surprise you that we have similar foods? We have similar foods when it comes to grain, peas, and other things. We have similar foods with the Americans. Does it not surprise you? Because this continent was so much together. There was migration up and down.
But melanated people on this planet, South America and Africa, were connected. And there was a thriving empire, a civilization that stretched from what we know as Central America, South America now, all the way to the land of ancient Kemet, down to the Great Congo, the Holy Lands. The Congo jungle and the Amazon jungle made a super jungle. And this was the time when the Olmec Empire, the Aztec Empire, was created simultaneously after the one in Kemet. You understand me? Then a great cataclysm happened, breaking South America off from Africa. After that, the civilizations known as the Olmec, the Aztec, and the Inca went into demise and were taken over by Neanderthals' descendants, a straight-haired population. Study. For the more you study, the more options you will have. And the more options definitely means the more power.
How did these Africans come to the New World?
Okay, now one of the things, as I have pointed out, in the metallurgy, like the steel, etc., in astronomy, etc., there is a profound misunderstanding of African capacity. The Africans had ships. This is one of them. This is in East Africa. This ship, this is just a model which I found in Fort Mombasa in Kenya. This ship is a 70-tonner. Ships like these in the 13th century before Columbus took elephants to China, right across the Indian Ocean. But this is just, they had ships like this in East Africa before Christ, but there were ships in North Africa along the Mediterranean that were far more sophisticated than any ships the Europeans had. European shipping is not even European. The sail Columbus used comes out of the Arab-African world. The astrolabe comes out of the Arab-African world. They found in the desert before Columbus, in the period before Columbus, the Africans were using compasses and nautical instruments to navigate the desert. They had these instruments which were used to navigate the sea. They've done studies recently of navigation in West Africa showing the Africans did have boats along the Niger. The African had boats that could take 3 camels aboard ship. They had cabins, all of these along the Niger, which opens, if you go down the Senegambia at a certain point, it opens out into the Atlantic, and the Africans did have empires with an Atlantic border.
This is a simple question. It's going to sound simple, but you're talking about black people.
Yes.
Okay.
And on several occasions, Africans were able to make that journey. If you look at a map of currents, and we will look more closely at this later on in the program, you will see there are 3 currents that take you from Africa to America. Africa is half the distance from America as is Europe. Not only is it half the distance, it is far easier to get from Africa to America because the currents take you automatically. In other words, you don't have to know of the existence of America. Even Columbus was not aware of the existence of America. He came off the North Atlantic. Columbus thought he was going to India, and he struck out for the latitude of Japan, hoping to land in India, and he swore he was in India. That is why people like myself are called West Indians. I'm the Indian he found in the West. And the Americans are called American Indians because he thought they were in India. So that you have these currents which take you automatically. European ships did not use these currents until the second voyage, when Columbus used that knowledge which he got from the Portuguese about Africans. On the third voyage, on the second voyage, Columbus heard from the American natives in Hispaniola, which is now known as Haiti and San Domingo, that Africans had come to the Native Americans. The Americans told Columbus that. He recorded it in his journals, that Africans had come to them trading in gold-tipped spears. Columbus sent samples of those spears. They were studied, they were surveyed in Spain, and they were found to contain the same ratio of gold, silver, and copper alloys as those found in West African Guinea.
So were these Africans swept along this current?
Yes.
Or did they come purposely?
Initially, it was an accident. Just like initially Columbus's so-called discovery, rather his coming here in a late period, was an accident.
What's the name of this current?
There are several of them. There's the South Equatorial Current, there's the North Equatorial Current. These currents come, there's a current coming off the Senegambia coast, there's a current coming off the Cape Verde Islands, there's a current coming up from the southern part of Africa. These currents all move towards South America, into the Caribbean, into the Gulf of Mexico. And there's a return current. And we have evidence that Africans not only went, but in a late Pre-Columbian period, they also returned, because we found American things which Africans brought back. Just as we have found African things in America, they found American things which Africans brought back with them, such as the cotton in the Cape Verde Islands.
Are these currents still?
Oh yes, for thousands of years, these currents have been in existence. This has been tested. 200 small boats, some of them smaller than the major African boats, have crossed the Atlantic. They have been tested. Thor Heyerdahl, the Norwegian explorer, got Africans to build a ship used long before the birth of Christ, used in Egypt and Ethiopia. And this ship was made of papyrus reed, and the scientists said it couldn't float. And Heyerdahl insisted, and the Africans under Abdullah de Jibrin built the ship, and it crossed the Atlantic successfully to America.